Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here with the reading of another transcript. It seems like every time I say I'm not going to read a particular transcript, something comes up and I have to read the transcript. So if you watch my video that was titled day 8 or day 9, and I said Addie and Lewis were going to testify. And so, as I've told you guys before, and even when I did that little sheet on my community tab, I was saying, hey, we're guessing, trying to figure out who all these people are. It doesn't mean that the guests are right. It just means that based on the information that we know about these people, this is who we think they are. And people were giving their guesses and that type of thing. So on that video where the person named Addie testified, I was thinking, oh, this must be the Adelina Prada lady who was friends with Lisa Van Allen and who's also supposed to be allegedly Beverly from the Minnesota case. And so people were saying, oh, she lied about her age, that type of thing. And so, when we were doing the math, the ages didn't line up because I think the Adelina lady should be like 44 or something, and the person who was testifying may have been 41, or vice versa. So I just want to give the disclaimer that Addie is not Adelina Prada, okay? And that's why I have to read this transcript to you. And this is why these transcripts are so important in this case, because as I've said before, there's a lot of speculation. We're all guessing, trying to figure out who these Jane Does are. And you guys know when I figure out that I was wrong, I always come back and let you guys know, oh, that guess was off and this is why. And so the conversation came back up because of these videos that they are playing in court today. And, we were trying to figure out if it was Lisa Van Allen that was on one of the audios that was going to be played, and then a second video where there was some type of abuse, and people were saying, okay, the audio is Lisa Van Allen, the video is actually Adelina. Some people were saying that it was Dominique Gardner, but Dominique Gardner had just came into the house, so I don't think it was her. And the court hasn't given an exact date either on when these videos and this audio was taken. And so I think that the people who were saying Lisa Van Allen and the Adelina chick, I think that you may have been correct about the two people and that it wasn't Lisa Van Allen and Dominique. So we're going to go ahead and get into this transcript, and thank God the part where she's on the witness stand is not that long. And when I tell y'all, Devereaux Cannon got in her behind, whoever this chick is, he got into her behind and broke her all the way down. And I'm wondering, based on the identification information that she provided for herself, if maybe she is Hispanic or white. I know I'm stereotyping when I say this, but we know that Miami is a highly Hispanic community, and just some of the things that she said she was into leads me to believe that she may not be African American. But I could be wrong. And if you or someone was in the courtroom and saw her, and I was actually going to look for a sketch of her to see exactly what she is. But if I find the sketch, I'll put it in the image for this video. So on that day, which was August 30th, it started out with a sidebar that was redacted. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 pages of redactions, maybe 6 pages of redactions of a sidebar that took place. So we're going to pick up where they're in open court. And that sidebar took place like at the beginning of the day. So it was some issue, maybe a motion had been filed or something like that they needed to discuss, or something about evidence before court started. So then it says, in open court, jury not present. Donnelly, all right, are we ready for the jurors? Do we have a witness? We don't, do we? And then Cruz Melendez says, we do, Your Honor. We don't have a witness currently on the stand. Donnelly, okay. Then Cruz Melendez, I thought you were asking if we had a witness here and ready. Donnelly, that's what I meant. I couldn't remember how we finished on Friday, but now I do. All right, let's get your jurors. And then Donnelly, which witness is testifying? And then Cruz Melendez, Addie, Your Honor. And then Donnelly, do you know which binder that's in alphabetically? And then someone named Miss Mike said 1. And then a special agent, Shabbat, said, may I get the witness? And then Donnelly, you may as well start bringing her in. Yes. And then the court deputy, all rise. You may be seated. And then, she's sworn in. Donnelly gives her little spiel that she's always giving. And then, about speaking to the microphone and that type of stuff. And then she also says, okay, before we start, I know last week I told you we would be working Friday. We are only going to be working until 1 o'clock. I think we are moving along at a good pace, but we are going to stop at 1 o'clock on Friday, just if that figures into your plans at all. And then she says, all right, the government has another witness. Are you ready to call? And then Cruz Melendez, yes, Your Honor. The government calls Addie to the stand. And then this is where she's sworn in. And Donnelly gives her spiel about, let's just make sure the microphone is working. Is it on? Addie says hello. The deputy says on the top. And then Addie says hello again. So Donnelly, now it's on. Great. And then she tells her again, about speaking into the microphone. And if she has a question, don't ask the lawyer to ask her, and she will tell the lawyer to rephrase the comment. And so Addie says, okay, Donnelly. And then finally, just do your best to answer only the question that you are being asked, okay? Okay, Donnelly, go ahead, Miss Cruz Melendez. And then she says, thank you, Your Honor. Like, by the time you shut up, okay? So anyway, so Addie is sworn in, and she testifies as follows. Cruz Melendez. And then you guys remember, if there's a question being asked, it is the prosecutor. The statements and answers are the witness. And if at any time the witness has a question, then I'll let you know it is the witness asking the question, not the prosecutor or the attorney. So we start off with Cruz Melendez. Good morning. Good morning. I'm showing just the witness what's been marked for identification purposes as Government's Exhibit 57. Do you see that there? Yes. Do you recognize that? Yes. And what is it? A picture of me. And approximately how old were you in this photograph? In my teens, probably around 17, 18. Your Honor, the government offers Government Exhibit 56. I'm going to remind the witness, just keep your voice up. That's Donnelly, of course. The witness, okay. Donnelly, that's better, great. And then Canick, no objection, Your Honor. Donnelly is in evidence. Cruz Melendez. Okay, Your Honor, both permission to publish to the jury and to the public. Sure. Okay, I'm now showing just the witness what's been marked for identification purposes as Government's Exhibit 56A. Do you see a Government's Exhibit 56A there? Yes. And is that the same photograph that was pictured in Government's Exhibit 56? Yes. And is that your true name listed at the bottom of Government's Exhibit 56A? Yes. The government moves to admit. Canick, no objection. Donnelly, okay, that's in evidence. Donnelly, Mr. Canick, do you mind turning on your microphone? Cruz Melendez, Your Honor, we ask that it be published just to the jury. Okay, I'm showing the witness only Government's Exhibit 56B. Is that the same picture as in Government's Exhibit 56 and 56A? Yes. Okay, is that your nickname, Addie, listed underneath there? Yes. The government moves to admit Government's Exhibit 56B. No objection. That's in evidence. Okay, we ask that it be published to both the jury and the public, please. Addie, where did you grow up? I grew up in the Bronx. Anywhere else? I also grew up in Florida, in Miami, Florida, Homestead. What kind of hobbies did you have growing up? I had hobbies in dancing, singing, acting, and I also liked to write poems, songs. What types of dance did you enjoy doing? Ballet, modern dance, breakdancing. Did you graduate from high school? Yes. After graduating from high school, what, if any, schooling did you have? I got my AA degree from New World School of Arts. And what's an AA degree? It's an Associate of the Arts. What kind of schools is New World School of the Arts? It's a conservatory school. Can you explain? Please explain to the jurors what a conservatory school is. It's a school where you go for either dance, theater, music, performing arts. And what did you study while you were at the conservatory? I studied dance theater. Did you graduate from the conservatory? Yes. Now, you've testified that growing up you enjoyed dancing, singing, and acting, and that you went to a conservatory for studying performing arts. Were you interested in pursuing dance or other performing arts as a profession growing up? Yes. And did you, in fact, pursue dancing or singing and acting professionally? Yes, I did. And in what ways? The performances, shows, went on auditions, did a couple of writings, music-wise as well. Did you book any jobs as a dancer or singer or actor? Yes, I did. What kind of jobs? I booked some jobs with performances. One like Lyricist Lounge, which was an opening act. Another one was production work as written, Law and Order here in New York as well. In addition to your degree from the conservatory, do you have any other degrees? Yes, I do. And what kind of degree do you have? I have a degree in business. What kind of degree in business? Mostly general international business law. And are you employed? I'm self-employed. And how are you self-employed? I run 2 businesses. What kind of businesses? One is in multimedia production and business development. The other one is a car business. And the car business is why I say she Hispanic, because one thing they're going to do down there in Miami is have a car dealership, okay? All right, so it says, are you familiar with an individual named Robert Kelly, also known as R. Kelly? Yes. And I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize the individual in Government's Exhibit 1? Yes. And who is that? That's Robert Kelly. And prior to today, have you met Robert Kelly in person? Prior to today, only one time. Now, do you see Robert Kelly in the courtroom here today? I probably over there, but I need to see the faces. The masks are hiding their face. Yes. Can you point him out and identify an item of clothing he's wearing? He's sitting right there in the blue blazer next to the gentleman with the striped tie. Donnelly, indicating the defendant, Cruz Melendez. Now, you previously testified that you met the defendant on one occasion. Where did you meet the defendant? I met the defendant at a concert. And where is the concert? The concert was in Miami, Florida. And do you remember what venue the concert was held at? It was called American Miami Arena. The name of the concert was Budweiser Superfest. Okay, and then let me put a pin there, because remember when the reporters were reporting, they were saying that she said American Airlines Arena. And in the video, we were like, okay, she didn't even know what year it was, because American Airlines didn't come along until so many years later. And at the time, it was called Miami Arena. And we see here in the transcript that she did correct herself and say it was the Miami Arena. And so she was at the Bud Fest, and then she says, and Miami Arena, where was that? It's in Miami, Florida. Sitting here today, do you recall the date of the concert? It was in September 1994. Now, at the time that you attended the concert, how old were you? I was 17 years old. And were you attending high school at the time? Yes. Were you at high school in Florida? Yes, it was Homestead High. Do you recall which grade you were in at the time? Now, she said junior high. Now, girl, ain't no way you was in junior high school. First of all, I live in Florida, guys. And we haven't used the term junior high in probably 50 years, okay? Because when I was in middle school, when I was in 6th through 7th grade, it was 6th through 8th grade, it was referred to as middle school. And this girl is younger than me, so I'm not sure where she's getting junior high. Junior high was like my siblings attended junior high school, and they're old, much older than me. So anyway, so she says, now you mentioned that you went to his concert at the Miami Arena. And then also saying junior high makes it seem as though she was between the age of 11 and 13, possibly 14. But she's already said that she was 17 or 18. So she had to have been in high school and a senior in high school if she was smart enough to go on to college. And then the concert was September of 1994. We start school here in August or September. So if she was 18, she should have graduated by then, unless her birthday, she does say that her birthday was in November at one point. So we have a rule here, and I think I mentioned it in another video talking about Ariel, that if your birthday is after September 1st or September 30th, you have to wait a year in order to start school. So since this girl's birthday was in November, she might have been entering her senior year in high school if she was 17, because then she would have turned 18 in November. Okay, otherwise she would have been 18 and should have been either out of high school and on her way to college, because she would have turned 19 in November. So then she says, now you mentioned that you went to this concert at the Miami Arena. How did you obtain tickets to the concert? My mom had friends that worked at Power 96 that gave her VIP tickets. And did you get the tickets from your mom? Yes. Okay, and what's Power 96? Power 96 is a radio station. What kind of tickets did you have for the show? It was all access passes, VIP. I'm showing just the witness what's been marked for identification purposes as Government's Exhibit 201. May I approach, Your Honor? Yes. Addie, do you recognize what's in Government's Exhibit 201? Yes. And what is it? It's a program from the concert. The concert you went to in 1994 of September? Yes. Your Honor, the government moves to admit. Any objection? May I see it? That's Canick. No objection. Canick again. All right, that's in evidence. Then Cruz Melendez. Permission to publish, Your Honor? Yes, this can go to the jury and the public. Now, you mentioned that the concert, you recall that the concert was a festival involving Budweiser. Is that correct? Yes. Now, do you see the name on Government's Exhibit 201 of the concert? Yes, on top of the brochure. Okay, what is that name? Budweiser Superfest. And you had previously mentioned that you recall the concert occurred in September of 1994. Yes. Looking at it, well, first and foremost, What do we see here in the center of Government's Exhibit 201? That is the access pass that was given to me and my best friend for attending. And here, does it say 1994? Yes. And at the top it says Budweiser Superfest 2 All Access. Yes. Looking at the All Access pass here, does that refresh your recollection as to the date of the concert? Yes. What was the date? September 2nd, 1994. Now, did you attend the concert alone? No, I attended the concert with my best friend. How old was your best friend at the time? She was 19. How did you and your friend get to the concert? My mom lent me her car. And so, did you drive to the concert? Yes, I drove. Was the defendant the only performer at the concert, or were there other musical acts? There were various artists at the concert. What artists do you recall were scheduled to perform at the concert? Well, the main artist that I went to go see was Aaliyah. There was also, I believe, Salt and Pepper came. There was also Heavy D. I believe also Coolio. There was another artist, but I don't recall. Now, you testified that you had wanted to see Aaliyah at the concert. Yes, that was the main reason why we went. Were you a fan of her music? Yes, I was. Did she perform at that concert? Unfortunately, she didn't perform. And did the defendant perform at the concert? Yes, he did. And were you a fan of his music? It was okay. Prior to this concert, had you ever been to any of the defendant's performances? No. Do you recall what you were wearing at the concert? Yeah, I was wearing sneakers, a pair of white shorts, and a t-shirt. Now, you previously stated about having all access passes for the concert. Do you recall where your seats were for the concert? Yes, the right side of the main stage, like the access towards the back. How close were you to the stage? We were pretty close. And what section were you in? We were in I would say maybe the third row, seating from within the VIP. Within the VIP section? Yes. Did you and your friends stay for the entire concert? Yes, we did. And approximately how long did the concert last? About 2 hours. Do you recall who the closing act was for the concert? R. Kelly was the closing act. And can you explain to the jury what happened after the concert ended? When the concert ended, like a couple minutes afterwards, there was some gentleman that approached me and my best friend asking us if we would like to go backstage to get an autograph. And when they approached you, did they ask who you would be getting? Mechanic, objection. Donnelly, well, sustained as to form. What did they say to you? They asked me if I wanted to go. Me and my best friend wanted to get autographs from R. Kelly. And you describe, and this is Cruz Melendez speaking now, can you describe the two men who approached you and your friend? They were African American, looked like bouncers. Now, prior to being approached by these two individuals, had you intended to go backstage? No. Now, they mentioned getting an autograph from the defendant. Prior to that, had you gotten any other autographs that time? In the VIP section, there were other artists there, and we were getting autographs from other artists as well. Do you recall who you got an autograph from? Luke was one of them, and I believe there was another artist, but I don't recall. I'm showing again Government's Exhibit 201. Do you see Government's Exhibit 201 on the screen? Yes. And is there writing on Government's Exhibit 201? Yes, that's the autograph from Luke. Who is Luke? Luke is a rapper, more explicit rapper. Where did you get Luke's autograph? He was in the VIP section where we were sitting at. Now, you testified that two men approached you and they asked if you wanted to go backstage to get an autograph from the defendant. Had you intended to go backstage prior to that? Objection. Donnelly, I think you already asked her that. Cruz Melendez. I did, Your Honor. Okay, why hadn't you? I think you testified that you hadn't intended to go backstage before that. Why hadn't you intended to go backstage? We weren't, I didn't intend to go backstage because during the performance, I think towards the end, they said you can come. Women can come backstage if you are over the age of 18. So I automatically assumed because I was underage, I wasn't able to go back there. Who said you couldn't go backstage unless you were 18 years old? R. Kelly made the announcement at the end of his performance. Where was he when he made that announcement? On stage. Now, at the time that the two men approached you asking if you wanted to get the defendant's autograph, did they ask how old you were? No. Did they ask to see any identification? No. And after the two men approached you, did you then go backstage? Me and my best friend followed them backstage. Yes, into a dressing room. When you got to the dressing room, did anyone check your identification? No. When you got to the dressing room, did anyone ask? When you first got to the dressing room, did anyone ask you how old you were? No. When you entered the dressing room, was the defendant in the room? Yes, he was in the room being interviewed by media. There were other publications that were there. Now, aside from the media who were interviewing the defendant and the men who had escorted you into the dressing room, were there any other concert goers in the room? No, it was mostly just media. So what happened once you entered the room? Me and my best friends followed the other guys, the two bouncers that escorted us there into the room, and then once we got into the room, pretty much he stopped his interview. We approached him, and that's when we engaged in a conversation. Now, when you approached the defendant, did he acknowledge you? Yes. And what, if anything, did you say to the defendant? I pretty much went up to him with my program to see if I could get an autograph. And did you, in fact, get an autograph? Yes. He asked me for my name, and I let him know my name was Addie, and he was signing the program. So I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government's Exhibit 201. This is the other side of the program, correct? Correct. And do we see here on Government's Exhibit 201 the defendant's autograph? Yes. And where is that? It's in the right upper mid portion of the program. Here, where I have my pen, and that's Melendez pointing the pen. Yes. And it says here, to Addie. Yes. Who wrote that? R. Kelly. And how did he know to write that? I told him my name. When you were speaking with him, when he was signing your program, what, if anything else, did you discuss? Now, let me stop here. When she told him her name, did she spell her name for him? Like, did he know how to spell Addie? I'm just asking. And then the other question I have is, if the media was there, they probably were taking pictures. They probably was recording. Have anybody sent a call out to them to see if they got a picture pictures from being backstage with him after that concert during that interview, so we can see if it was just the press? Because I'm thinking if R. Kelly got on stage and said anybody over 18 can come backstage and get an autograph, then it would have been a whole bunch of women back there. Because remember, this is when he is just coming out. He's, kind of popular, right? His popularity is growing. The first album has been released. So if he's headlining the Bud Fest, then I'm sure there were a lot of women there that would have been more than happy to go backstage and get his autograph. But moving on. So when you were speaking with him, when he was signing your program, what, if anything, else did you discuss? When I approached him, I pretty much told him my name. He signed the program. I told him that I was an aspiring artist as well. He also wrote down a room number suggesting to come by his hotel for an audition. What, if anything, else did you discuss? Basically, towards the end, I also told him that I wasn't sure if I was even allowed to be in the room because I was 17 years old. Now, you previously mentioned that the defendant wrote down a room number on the program. Yes. Is that shown on Government's Exhibit 201? That's on the bottom right side. Okay, here where I have my pen, correct. Can you read that for the jury? Room number 1031. And what was that a room number to? To a hotel. And what, if anything, did the defendant say to you about this room number in the hotel? He verbally told me what hotel it was. I don't recall the hotel. How convenient. But he wrote down the room number as well on the program. Now, you also testified that you spoke with the defendant about the fact that you were interested in dance and that you were a dancer. What, if anything, did the defendant say to you about that? Well, that's the whole purpose of him. I'm assuming writing down the room number was for me to go after to do an audition or to talk about maybe future possibilities. Did he speak with you about possible future opportunities? He engaged with me quickly about going to the hotel to do an audition later and also mentioned something about an after party. Now, I'm sure that man did not tell you come do no audition at that hotel room that you can't even remember what the name of the doggone hotel room was. Okay, anyway. So what happened after you got the defendant's autograph and had this conversation with him? As soon as I had told him that I thought I was underage and I was 17 years old, he didn't respond about my age. He would speak to whatever bouncers, and quickly after that, they had everybody escorted to the room. And when you say they, what do you mean? Who are you referring to? The two gentlemen that R. Kelly had talked to. And so who left the room? All the media that was there basically stopped doing this interview and they escorted everybody out. Did you leave? No. What about your friend? Did your friend stay? Yes, she stayed as well. How did you know to stay? They told us to stay. Who is they? The bouncer said to just stay here, and he was engaging with us, and then he had everybody else escorted out of the room, out of the dressing room. Now, why does she keep calling these people bouncers like you wasn't at the club, girl? She said bodyguards, his security, but she keeps saying bouncer. So once the interviewers were out of the dressing room, who, if anyone else, was left in the dressing room? There was only R. Kelly, me, and my best friend. Can you describe the dressing room? When you enter into the dressing room on the right-hand side, there's audio equipment that was mobile. Towards the back side of the room, there's a dressing area where I guess you can put your makeup and get ready for your performance. On the left side, that was just a wall. In the middle of the room, there was a bunch of chairs where they were giving interviews with him. So what happened once you and your friend were alone in the dressing room with the defendant? Basically, we start engaging. It was very subtle, and we started talking. He wanted to play a game practically and asked if who can kiss better. Okay, prior to him asking you who could kiss better, what did you discuss? He was talking about a new song he was working on for a soundtrack called Low Down Dirty Shame. Not sure if I have the right movie soundtrack, but he went to the audio equipment, and started playing a song. The lyrics of the song went something like homie, lover, friend, which is the only thing I kind of remembered from that single soundtrack that he was playing. So you testified that after you had spoken, the defendant said that he wanted to see which one of you kissed better. Yeah. Well, he played the song. That's when he started, I guess, pretty much saying, I want to know which one of you kissed better. And what happened next? He started kissing my best friend. And did she kiss him back? Briefly. But then he kind of started kissing me. He stopped with her and then started to kiss me. And did you kiss him back? At first, and then I felt a little overwhelmed, so I started pulling away. Now, when the defendant started kissing you, what, if anything, what was your reaction to that? At first, initially shocked. How much time passed between when the defendant started playing the music and then when he said to you and your friend, I want to play this game, seeing who could kiss better? It was throughout the song. So after the defendant started kissing you, what happened next? He started getting a little more aggressive and basically kind of moved towards the back of the room where I was facing the dressing area. And that's when he started engaging in, like holding my wrists and then unzipping my pants and pretty much pulled them down and started having intercourse with me. So you mentioned that the defendant moved you. Where did he move you to? We were in the middle of the room, and then he started guiding me towards the back of the room. And you testified that the defendant pulled down your shorts and started to have sex with you. Where were you? Where were you positioned? I was facing in front. I was in front of the counter, and he was behind me. And when you say that the defendant started to have sex with you, what do you mean? He had sex with me unprotected and penetrated my vagina. What, if anything, did you say when the defendant penetrated your vagina? And I'm sorry, what did he use to penetrate your vagina? His penis. And what, if anything, did you say when this happened? At this point, I was in complete shock, and I was kind of just very introverted and shy and didn't know what to expect or what to say at all. Just basically went blank. Did your friend participate at all when the defendant began having intercourse with you? He grabbed her hands to try to make her participate, but she refused. At some point, did the defendant finish having intercourse with you? Yes. And what, if anything, did you do once the defendant was finished? Basically, I pulled everything back up, and me and my friend we went to the door, unlocked the door, and ran out of there. And what happened once you ran out of the dressing room? We were in the parking lot, and me and my best friend were discussing about what happened with the situation, and my best friend wanted me to call the police and press charges. And how were you feeling at the time? At the time, I was very scared and nervous. I didn't feel comfortable about talking about the situation, and informing the police was something that it was very uncertain for me to do at that time. I didn't even know if they would believe me. I didn't want to get victim shamed. And so at that point, did you report what happened to the police or any law enforcement? And I just love how they love throwing that. Now, we know victim shaming is a term that is fairly recent with the Me Too and Time's Up movement. So she was not thinking that she was going to be victim shamed back in 1994. So she says, no, I assumed that if I were to move forward with that, I wouldn't be able to move forward with my career and be blacklisted from the industry. All right, girl. So, Your Honor, one moment, nothing further, Your Honor. Then Donnelly, okay, cross-examination. Connick, 1 second, please, Your Honor. Court, sure. Connick, thank you, Your Honor. Then the cross-examination begins. Good morning. You testified and told us that you attended this concert in September 1994. Yes. Now, when you first met with the government, you gave them a different date, did you not? No. Isn't it a fact that you told the government that this concert was in 1992? Not that I recall, no. Not that you recall, no. I am going to show you. Sorry about that. Somebody walked in. I am going to show you this document and direct your attention to the highlighted portion with the red line and see if that refreshes your recollection if you told the government that you went to this concert in 1992. I don't recall. You don't recall? No. It's on the document though, right? Yes. And when you did, in fact, speak with the government before coming here for testimony here, right? Yes. And when you spoke to the government, they took notes, am I correct? Yes. And you were the only person giving them information, am I correct? Yes. And in fact, when you were there, you had that program, am I correct? Correct. How long have you had the program? Since I was 17 years old. So you had that program for, according to you, 25 years. Yes. And that's if the concert was in 1994. If it was in 92, it would be 27 years. I don't understand the question. Well, you had it since if you had it since 1992, that would be 27 years that you had the program, right? But I didn't. It was 1994. Okay, now where did you keep the program? I had it with other memorabilia in a box. So someone ordered you, according to you, and you keep that program as a memorabilia. That box has been in, I didn't ask you that. Someone ordered you, and according to you, someone ordered you, according to you, and you kept the program as memorabilia. The program was in a box, yes. Now you testified that you didn't believe that anyone would believe your story about the supposed R. Remember telling us about that? Yes. Now you hired a lawyer, am I correct? Yes. What's the lawyer's name? Leon Walsh. This is the lawyer. Yes. He's here with you today. Yes. Now, did you sue R. Kelly? No. Do you plan on suing R. Kelly? No. So you just happened to invite this lawyer to come and watch you testify? Legally, I needed representation, yes. My question is, did you just happen to invite this lawyer to come and watch you testify today? Melendez, objection. Donnelly, you should just let her finish the answer, please. Connick, sure. I hired a lawyer to make sure that legally I was represented. When did you hire the lawyer? I don't recall the exact date. Did you hire the lawyer after that documentary called Surviving R. Kelly? It was actually prior to that. It was prior to that? Now, when you hired the lawyer, did you at any point go to law enforcement before hiring the lawyer? Yes, I did. What year did you go to law enforcement? I believe it was January of 2019. So, January of 2019. So, if this happened according to you in 1994, 95 went by, am I correct? Correct. When you went to law enforcement? Correct. 96? Yes. 97? Yes. 98, 99? Yes. 2000? Objection, Your Honor. Okay, I think she said she hired the lawyer in 2019. So basically, let's do the math. 2019 minus 1994. How many years went by before you went to law enforcement? I don't know, like what, 25 years? 25 years? Yes. Now, during that entire time, you were traumatized, right? Yes. You were humiliated, right? Yes. And that humiliation and trauma did not cause you to go to law enforcement until 25 years later? Hello, the mic is off. Donnelly, okay, maybe you want to put the question again. We had to change the battery. Do you mind reading back his question? And then the record was read, and then Addie replied, I didn't go to law enforcement because I didn't want more victim shaming and more trauma at the time. At that time, yes. Now, there came a time that the victim shaming, according to you, didn't bother you any longer. Am I correct? I am an adult now, so no, I am no longer a little girl. Well, you were not an adult in 2001. Well, you were not an adult in 2001. Am I correct? Everybody deals with trauma differently. I didn't ask you that. You told us that you are an adult now and you're no longer a little girl. And my question is, you were an adult back in 2001, am I correct? Yes. 2002, am I correct? Yes. 2000? Objection. 5, am I correct? Donnelly, overruled. Yes. Okay, 2010, am I correct? Yes. 2015, am I correct? Yes. Okay, you listened to a person called Kim Fox. Do you remember that? Yes. Kim Fox is a prosecutor in Chicago, am I correct? Yes. And Kim Fox went on the news and said, anyone who has information about R. Kelly, contact me or go to law enforcement. Am I correct? I believe that she said any victims to please step forward. And according to you, you hired your lawyer before that. Am I correct? I'm not sure if it was before that or afterwards. Okay, so now you're not sure. Well, it took me some time to find a lawyer. Okay, in Miami, Florida, it took you time to find a lawyer. Objection. Sustained. How long did it take you to find a lawyer? I don't recall. A few months. Like a few months, yeah. Where were you looking? First of all, trying to find someone who actually handles this type of case. No, my question was, where were you looking? Objection as to form. Donnelly, I'm not entirely sure that it is relevant, but I guess the better question might be, what process did you use to try to find an attorney? Referrals. I also looked at the Florida bar, and pretty much I also looked at other victims online and looked to see who their lawyers were. Now, you testified and said that according to you, that R. Kelly signed that program or put information in that program. Yes. What time did the concert end when you went to see it? I don't know what time the concert ended. What time when you actually left his room that you said he was in? I'm not aware of the time. There was no clock in there, so I'm not aware. What time did you get back in the car? I'm not aware of the time. Now, who drove you to the concert? Excuse me? Who drove you to the concert? I drove myself. You sat with an adult, am I correct? Yes. The adult who gave you the ticket, according to you, am I correct? Yes. And when R. Kelly announced, according to you, that females were invited back to get an autograph, but there was an age requirement of 18, did you mention to the adult that you were going backstage? I don't understand that question. You testified and told us that R. Kelly made an announcement that he was giving autographs to folks who were over 18. No, I said he gave an announcement that you could come in the back dressing room if you're 18 and older. If you're 18 and older, yes. And did you tell the adults that you were with that you were going backstage? Everybody in that room was an adult. No, my question to you is that did you tell the adults that you were with that you were going backstage to get an autograph? I don't understand the question. What adults are you referring to? You testified earlier and said that you were seated next to an adult who gave you the all access pass. Am I correct? My mom gave me the access pass. She was not present. Okay, and my question is, was there an adult with you? No. You and your girlfriend were attending the show alone. My girlfriend was 19 years old. I was 17 years old. And yes, it was a family venue. My question was, you and your girlfriend were attending alone without any adults. No, there was no adults. Okay, now, and according to you, R. Kelly had sex with you and you ran out of the room. Afterwards, yes, we left. At first you left. Donnelly, she said afterwards. Afterwards, we left. No, the girl said, afterwards, we left. And then panic. And you sure he didn't sign the program before you left, according to you? No. When was it in the process that he signed the program? He signed the program when the room was full with other personnel there. He stopped the interview and was signing the programs during that time. And you said press was in the room. Yes. You also said that you were escorted back to the room by African American bouncers. That's what they look like to me, yes. What does an African American bouncer look like? Objection. I will sustain it as to form. Do you want to ask her what a bouncer looks like? Well, she described the person as an African American bouncer. So, okay, why did you think they were bouncers? Now, this Donnelly taking over again, asking witness questions like she does all the time when she doesn't like the way that the attorneys are phrasing the questions, or they're not getting to the answer that she obviously wants to get to. So then the witness said, because they were a part of his entourage. Then Canick, how do you know they were a part of his entourage? Because they communicated. So that's the only thing that made you come to the conclusion that they were part of his entourage? Well, they were the ones that escorted everybody out of the room when he asked them to. So you don't know if they were working for him or for the venue. I don't know. Yeah, but you make this assumption that they were part of his entourage and that they were African American bouncers. Am I correct? I don't understand your question. You just testified a short while ago that you didn't know whether or not they worked for him or worked for the venue. Remember telling us that? I'm assuming if they're engaging with him and communicating with him and he's telling them orders, that yes, they work for him. So your testimony here is based on your assumption then, am I correct? Well, they're the ones that brought us back there. No, that's not. My question is that your testimony is based on your assumption. Am I correct? My testimony is based on my experience. You testified and told us that you hadn't been to an R. Kelly concert before. Remember telling us that? Excuse me, can you repeat, please? Do you remember telling us that you had not been to an R. Kelly concert before? That's correct. How many concerts had you been to before attending the R. Kelly concert? I never went to another concert before. So, what experience are you talking about? Excuse me, experience as far as what? The concert? You said that you're basing this on your experience and you had never been to an R. Kelly concert, right? Donnelly, he is asking you about the bouncers. Oh, they approached us and they guided us to his dressing room. Now, I asked you earlier about what adults, if any, that you were seated next to in the concert was a member of your party. Remember me asking that? There was no adults with us. Okay. Now, you remember in that interview you had with the government, you told the government, just a second, that you and Lily stayed in the VIP section alone with her mother's friend. Remember telling that to the government when you had the interview with them? No, there was no adults with us. So if the prosecutor's office wrote it down in their report, they got it wrong. Am I correct? I don't know. I didn't look at their report. And you didn't tell them that during your interview. Am I correct? I don't understand the question. What I just read to you, according to you, you didn't say that during the interview to the government. Am I correct? No, there was no adults with us. Okay. And you will concede, however, that you did have meetings with the government and told them that you said what you said happened to you on that particular night. Am I correct? Yes. And you will also concede that the people who were in the room when you gave that information are at this table. Am I correct? Yes. And you will concede that as you imparted the information to them, that they wrote it down. Am I correct? Yes. You saw them writing. Am I correct? Yes. May I have just a few more moments, Your Honor? Sure. Do you remember at some point speaking with someone by the name of Mayweather? No. Isn't it a fact that you told the government that you eventually spoke to someone by the name of Mayweather and that person helped you to make contact with the right people? No. And again, if that's in the report, the government made an error, correct? If it's in the report, then it's an error, correct? I have no idea. Now, may I have a second? Donnelly, sure. Now, before you came here today to give testimony, you had met with the government. Am I correct? Excuse me? Before coming here this morning and speaking to the jury, you spoke with the government and went over your testimony. Am I correct? Yes. How many times? I'm not sure. Well, when was the last time? Yesterday. And how long was that? I'm not certain. I didn't keep track. Now, do you have an approximation? Probably an hour. Do you remember what time you got there into their office? 1 o'clock. Do you remember what time you left? No, I don't recall. And your lawyer was with you, am I correct? No. When was the time you met with them before yesterday? Probably another time, sometime last week, I believe. I don't recall. Sometime last week. Yes. Okay. How long was that meeting? Around the same time. And what is the same time? I don't know, like maybe an hour. An hour. Yeah. And all of these people were there. Am I correct? When I say these people at this table. Not all of them. Yeah, the majority. Okay, not all. Then Canic, not all of them. And then she says, yeah. And then Canic, the majority. I don't understand the question. You don't understand what majority means? Donnelly, Mr. Canic, please do not do that. Melendez, objection. Donnelly, he wants to know, do you recall which of those people at the government table, do you remember which ones were at the meeting? This is the last week meeting. Canic, yes. Donnelly, okay. Meeting last week. Probably 2 at the table, 3. And before last week, before the meeting that we're discussing that occurred last week, when had you met with them before that? Probably the last time when I let them know about the situation. In that sense, it's your testimony that you met with them about 3 times. I would say that's a good number, yes. And according to you, you met with them about an hour yesterday and an hour at the time previous to that. So the 2 hours. What about the first time you met with them? How long was that? First time, I believe like an hour as well. Okay, and before coming in and giving testimony, had you ever spoken with them over the phone? No. So basically, all your meetings with them have been face-to-face. Yes. And in their preparation of you to come and give testimony, did they discuss your prior statements that you had given? Excuse me? Did they discuss with you your statements that you had given them on prior occasions? Oh, basically just prepping me to understand how the system works, to understand testimony. Well, they did more than that. They went over the questions that they were going to ask you. Am I correct? There was no set questions. They didn't discuss with you yesterday what they asked you here today. Not in a set format, no. I'm not asking you about format. I'm asking you, did they discuss with you yesterday the questions, the subject matter that they asked you here today? They discussed the topic and subject matter. And did they discuss with you the questions that you would likely be asked on cross-examination? There's no way to know what the questioning is. They didn't tell you, well, you may be asked this question by the other lawyer. No. They didn't tell you that the other lawyer is going to likely ask questions of you. I don't think they know what you're going to ask. That's not my question. No, my question is, they didn't tell you what the other lawyer, would likely, let me finish, please. They didn't tell you that the other lawyer is likely to ask you questions. Of course, yes, you're likely to ask questions. And did they go over what questions they anticipate the lawyer to ask? They let me know what cross-examination was about. My question is, did they go over with you the questions that they anticipate you being asked? Yes. So they did. Canic, nothing further, Your Honor. Donnelly, any redirect examination? Melendez, yes, Your Honor. Okay, Addie, have you ever spoken publicly about what happened to you in September 1994? No. Canick, beyond the scope, Your Honor. Donnelly, sorry, I did not hear. Canick, beyond the scope. Donnelly, overruled. Now, defense counsel asked you a question about the individuals who approached you and your friend about getting an autograph from the defendant. Do you recall those questions? I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Do you recall defense counsel asking you questions about the two men who approached you to see if you wanted an autograph from the defendant? Yes. What made you think that those two men worked for the defendant? Because they came straight to us, asked us if we would like to go to the dressing room to get autographs from R. Kelly, and escorted us straight to him. Now, defense counsel also asked you about statements in a report saying that you once stated that the concert happened in 1992. Had you ever seen the report that defense counsel showed you? No. Government Exhibit 201. Did you provide this to the government? Yes. Is this the pamphlet that you had on the date that the defendant pinned your arms and had sex with you? Yes. Is there any doubt in your mind that this is the pamphlet from that concert? No. If I could show the witness and the jury and the public Government Exhibit 201, is there any doubt in your mind that this is the all access ticket that you used to get into that concert? No doubt in my mind. And what is the year listed there? 1994. And what is the date? September 2nd. Nothing further, Your Honor. Any recross? Canick, just briefly. Okay, the pamphlet. Yes, the pamphlet that you just testified about. Did you take that pamphlet with you when you had your initial interview with the government? Yes. And did you give it to the government on the date that you had your initial interview? Yes. Now, you were born in November of 1976. Am I correct? Correct. So basically, on the date of this concert, according to you, the concert you supposedly attended, you were 17 and 10 months. I believe so. Yes, my birthday is in November. And you do recall the announcement that you had to be 18 to go for the autograph. Am I correct? Yes. Nothing further. Donnelly, anything else? Melendez, no, Your Honor. Donnelly, all right. Thank you so much. You can step down. And then they called their next witness, which was somebody named Derek Stevens. And let me see who Derek was. Let's see. Who's Derek? Okay, I'll have to come back to that because I can't see what Derek was. But I just wanted to give the transcript portion of Addie so that we can get the full picture of what her testimony was, and to clarify that she is not Adelina Prada, as I previously suggested that I thought that's who that was. So go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.